All right, that wasn't quite 15 seconds, but like I told you in the chat, but here we are. Jeremy from Color Up, sir. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you.
I was like going in 15 and the video's like, no, I'm already done. Already done. All right, we got some people already cruising in. Who is on this episode? Well, you haven't paying attention. It's Jeremy from Color Up. That's who's on this episode. Jeremy, it's we're gonna get into. I'm gonna give a few minutes, let people get on their platform of choice. It has been a pleasure watching you grow this Color Up YouTube channel. And look, I didn't realize anybody could talk about craps content as much as you have on this game, but I'm excited to get into this. How, in the pandemic right now, how often do you find yourself at a craps table?
Still, I mean, during when it was really locked down, no time, but they've opened up Colorado again. So I'm there once a month, maybe every couple of weeks, maybe. I'm not sure. And then I get out to Vegas too. So during the pandemic, I was able to get out to Vegas more.
Okay. Very good. Gold 4278. Hi guys. Craps episode is awesome. I agree. We got some other we'll answer this one. Jeremy, have you ever done live casino videos instead of home videos? We'll field this one now because I actually just got done watching the live video that you did at a casino there in Colorado. Is that right?
Yeah, I just finished that's kind of my first one that I've done. I'm not the type that's going to do like a hidden camera or anything like that. So I'm going to make sure I have permission. And I kind of didn't want to do it because I'm kind of like a quality guy. So I've been in talks with a couple casinos. I want to make sure that I can set up cameras and film it nice, not just my phone at the end of the table. But this is my first time, so I went ahead, set up the phone, kind of phone on the tripod at the end of the table, and let it fly. And people like that stuff, so
Yeah, very good. All right, Jeremy, we're going to start this interview where we start all of these interviews, and that is going back to the first time you were ever exposed to gambling, whether it was like a family poker game or maybe an uncle bet you on a sport or something, or maybe just stumbled into a casino and you're like, oh, snap, there's a craps table. Bring us back to the first time you remember being exposed to what we know as gambling.
So I'm a late bloomer. It was probably 20s, maybe 20, 21, something like that. I made deliveries for this company that I started with my uncle. It was a blueprint company. So we delivered construction documents for, contractors and architects and everything. And there was this little office of 2 architects, and I swear they never did any work. I don't know what they did, but every time I go in their office, I'd deliver some plans. They always had the daily racing forms, and constantly just going through the daily racing forums. And I'd be there every day or whatever. And, I just developed a friendship with them. So they're teaching me. I mean, eventually got to where I would stop at the deli, pick up their daily racing forms for them, and bring it to their office to them every day. And so really horse racing in the daily racing forum was kind of my first exposure to gambling of any type. And then we had a local dog track, the Naples Fort Myers dog track. And so I kind of feel a little weird about it, but I had little 2 toddlers at the time, and me and my wife would take our toddlers to the to the dog track, and we didn't know what we were doing. We were just like, pick a number or a color of this dog, and then we'd put money on it for them, and then we'd be like, yeah, you won, good job, So basically horse racing and the dog track was my first foray into gambling.
Sure. So then. So when does Jeremy then find himself in a casino then and noticing that there's this cheering crowd around this tub where people are throwing dice into it?
Well, it's a little weird because having a craps channel, it's a little weird because the first time I went to Vegas, then it was for my brother-in-law's 21st birthday. So I'm a little older than him, maybe 24, 25. And so I'm with my father-in-law. It was Mandalay Bay. I do remember that, at the craps table. I don't know what I was doing. I don't remember any of the bets I made. I do know that I didn't win any money from betting. I do know that for a fact, but I know I had a really good roll because everyone was cheering, and a guy tipped me a black chip. And I mean, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't understand the game. I think my father-in-law just said, just roll the dice or whatever. And I did. And so everyone was cheering. I'm like looking around like, wow, this is awesome. And so I told my wife, like, yeah, I got enough money to, I bought you a sweatshirt and me a sweatshirt, and I'm not losing this trip, because some guy gave me like $100. I don't even remember what my bankroll was when I went, but it couldn't have been much. But yeah, I had no idea what I was doing, but I had a decent roll on my very first try. And that was kind of the start and end of it for a while, until years later when I started discovering craps on YouTube and getting into that game.
Yeah. Okay. So as you're starting to play craps, as a recreational craps player, like, what is it about the craps table that keeps bringing you back? Is it the energy? Is it the variety of bets? Is it all the above? What brings you back?
Yeah, to me, it's like the only game that kind of has it all. I mean, you get the excitement at slot machines and that thing, but slot machine, you're just, well, I guess you push the button, you don't pull the lever well, I guess some of them still can, but the craps is, you got so many different ways to play it. You got people playing, the dark side and the light side, and there's just thousands of strategies, as I've kind of discovered, but there's so many different ways to play it. There's the math, so you feel like you're trying to figure it out and beat the game. We can get into that later, that you can't, but right. You feel like you can. You got a shot, and you're trying to maneuver things and maneuver the checks. I like that you get to hold the checks, you get to roll the dice. It's the only game I think that you can actually interact with, I believe.
I mean, maybe a pitch game and blackjack, right, where you can hold the cards there, or a squeeze game and baccarat, yeah. But definitely at the limits that we play at, Pai Gow is probably the only other game that you can interact with the game, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of everything. It's just kind of everything coming together. For me, it's just the perfect game.
Unfortunately, they don't let you roll the ball in roulette. I'm yet to find a casino that's going to let me roll the ball myself in a roulette game. So what's the gap in time between you starting to learn how to play craps and you realizing, oh snap, I want to create content behind this game?
It's actually reversed. So I wanted, should I back up into kind of my the YouTube story type thing? Because that's what got me into the game and got me playing more.
Yeah. Okay.
I was working at a production studio, and a guy told me about YouTube. He's like, hey, you can actually make money off it. And I didn't think of it as a thing. And I kind of moved from that production company to start my own company, and was doing production on my own, and was starting to look on YouTube, and was looking for something. You know how YouTube is. Sometimes you get in there and you fall down these like dark tunnels. And I ended up on craps, and I'm like, hey, this is that game that was so exciting, so awesome, that I played back in Vegas at the Mandalay Bay, and it was super exciting. So I started watching these videos, and there just weren't that many on there. There were old videos, 10-year-old videos, or there were, there just wasn't a whole lot. I think there was like one active YouTuber that was talking about the game and stuff. So At that point, I just kind of it sparked something in me. I started researching. I've got, I don't know, my library is like 40 books. I started reading about it, and I started going to casinos constantly and playing the game.
Yeah.
And I was just hooked on the game. So I played as much as I could. I read as much as I could. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe these old videos have like hundreds of thousands of views. If I started making content, I wonder, there's got to be an audience out there.
Right.
There must be. So I'm like,
proof of concept, right? These crappy videos have all these views.
Yeah, they're 10 years old, and yeah.
I was gonna say, I think anybody who sees your video for the first time knows that you have some sort of production experience, because these are well put together videos with the top down camera. You got the little animation with the spinning the chip and then throwing it at the screen at the front. So clearly you not only had interest in creating the content, but you had to have the confidence of knowing what I'm going to make is going to look better than most of what's out here.
Oh yeah, and I knew that going into it. I'm like, I said, like, here's my advantage. I know I could make a decent looking video. I mean, I don't have the years of experience. At that point, I had been like binge listening to You Can Bet on That and just, hearing their experiences and stuff. And I'm like, so I don't have the experience. And I at the time I was trying to play as much as I could, but I knew I had the video experience. So maybe I could pull this off. So that's kind of where I started.
Speaking of You Can Bet on That, they're in the house. Great point here from Mark. That the difference with craps versus the other games where maybe you interact with the cards, whatever, is you really are you are creating the outcome, with your dice roll. You don't, you're not really creating an outcome with your hits and stuff. So that's a great point there, Mark. So just in case we start getting hit with comments and stuff, I'm actually going to bounce in and out of questions here. Jerry P is curious. Best casino outside of Vegas. I mean, you're up there in Colorado. I don't know if something in Blackhawk is going to be is going to come up here, or something else from around the country. But if you're not in Vegas, what casino do you want to be at?
I get that's a funny question to me. Any casino that has a craps table and is open, like
what a degenerate. No,
yeah, I mean.
Like I'll go in someone's basement if they got a game going.
I mean, honestly, to me that would be cooler. A little speakeasy with a hidden craps table down in the corner would be cool. And I kind of like that, like in Vegas, like the El Cortez, the Runner, the kind of old. If it could feel old timey, I'd prefer that over like a fancy strip casino. So really, anything that's open. And I've been to Tunica and Deadwood and Blackhawk's my local place, and I kind of like the smaller joints more so than the corporate places. So really, I don't have a favorite. It's just for me, it's like if I could find $5 table, they still exist, and they have a table and they're open. You're like, that's my favorite casino. So I don't know how you judge best. I'm not into the amenities of the restaurants they have or the comps or anything like that. I'm just a straight.
So when people are coming into Colorado, specifically Blackhawk, where do you send people there?
Well, it used to be any. Now that the pandemic, even their tables are $10 and then $15 on the weekend. But I've been playing at Century Casino. They're just a standard, always $5 table. So.
Okay. And then how was Deadwood? Deadwood is actually oddly on my bucket list of places to, because of the history there and when. How was that from a gambler's perspective?
It's really cool. I went kind of in the height of the pandemic when like every city was shut down except for them. So it was a little weird. But they did have, I think
they're like, we don't know what the big deal is.
Yeah, I think they have 3 or 4 casinos that have tables, but only one of them actually had an operating table at the time. But the history of it, and you go into the different, the Old West feel, it's kind of like Blackhawk in that sense. They're very kind of similar, like old ghost town type gambling places. But Deadwood is a must hit. You hit Mount Rushmore, and then you go into Deadwood, and yeah, so at the time I went, they only had one table open, but it was cool to kind of feel the vibe of the town and the old places.
Any like cool touristy stuff to do like while you're there, and like the history of Deadwood, or do they buy into that at all with their visitors?
Yeah, a little bit. I forget who the famous not Wyatt Earp or I don't know. They got a couple. Everything's kind of tied to a story. The gunslinger or whoever used to eat at the bar, got shot at the bar. Type of thing, playing poker. A lot of it's circled around poker. So it's definitely a cool thing. Everyone's kind of got the history and the pictures and everything all over the walls.
So do you play any other casino games? I know obviously craps is your favorite. It's your focus. It's what you've built your brand around. But do you ever find yourself sitting down at a blackjack table or any other casino game in the pit?
No, not really. I'll play roulette a little bit with my wife. She won't approach the craps table at all, which is kind of ironic.
That is funny. Does she just not really enjoy the game, or it just intimidates her?
I guess intimidation. I'm not. Yeah, she just, even my home practice, thing when I'm doing videos, it's just like a no-go zone. I know, it's funny.
Jeremy is craps again.
Kind of when I first started gambling, I learned to me, I'm like a researcher. So I learned perfect strategy in blackjack. I'm like, okay, I got to learn this game. I want to know it down pat before I go. So I learned it down pat. I go, of course, the guy at the end of the table starts yelling at me for playing the wrong card. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a miserable experience. Then I go to another table, same thing. The guy's yelling at me, you're playing the wrong card. And I'm like reviewing, I'm like, wait, no, I'm actually playing the correct play in this position. But he's at the end of the table, and they sometimes get that. So it kind of turned me off to the blackjack game real quick.
Okay.
So I'll play it electronically, but usually not at the table anymore.
Right. So so tell me, how much time between this conversation she had about YouTube's this platform, you went on there, you're like, holy smokes, there's all these videos, they're not really all that great, and they get a ton of views. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it better. How, from that thought, from that realization to your first video, how much time is between there?
Probably 6 to 9 months. I mean, okay. I read a bunch of books and I went to the casino quite a bit in that time. And then I'm like, no, let's just do it. Let's go for it. So,
okay. Yeah.
And that's been about 4 years now. I think like this month or something, I started 4 years ago.
Well, I remember when in your first year, people were discovering your channel, and of course, people were sending me like, "Hey, have you seen Color Up yet? He's got this craps content." And you have a lot of videos on different strategies, different approaches, different ways that people like to play the game. Has there ever been a point where you're like, I don't wonder how long I can keep doing this? Like, how many more different ways can I approach the game of craps?
Yeah, a little bit. I did learn at some point that everyone comes into YouTube at different points, because I thought like, okay, it's linear. I got to start with how-to basics and I'll go through these and then I'll build upon that with certain strategies. And I found that people come in whenever. So they come in year 3. There are a couple that will go back and watch everything. I don't know what you call them, super fans or something. But the majority of them will start at that point. They'll never go back. So they haven't seen, like how I thought when I started, all these foundational blocks of building. So really every 2 years, you kind of repeat things a little bit. You talk about, basic things, buy bets or etiquette or different things. So you kind of cover things for the beginners a little bit. You kind of repeat those things. But at one point, I think it was about 2 years ago, I had kind of run out of strategies that I could think of, and the books were kind of useless because they all say, you just make a line bet and max odds and that's it. Like 90% of the books, that's kind of all they say, which is fine. That's mathematically great, but not a whole lot of fun all the time. So I put out this forum. I'm like, to on YouTube, I let people know, hey, I'm doing this thing called Dice Advice. You guys send me your strategies and then I'll roll them on the screen. Yeah. And they just started pouring in. I think right now I have a database of like 700 of them. I can't even.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of repeats and that sort of thing, but anytime I'm like even lacking an idea, I'm like, I try to do one Dice Advice a week. But I mean, yeah, hundreds and hundreds I can scroll through. Usually the first thing I look for is a clever name. So here's a tip. If you want to get your strategy on the show, a clever name, and then something kind of, something kind of unique. There's a lot of bets, but at some point it becomes repetitive what kind of systems they are. They're all kind of a little bit similar, but yeah.
Okay.
But plenty to choose from.
We got some comments and questions coming in through the chat. For anybody, if you're joining us here, you can find the Bettor Life on Twitter and on Instagram at the Bettor Life. If you see me on Twitter, go ahead and retweet the announcement that we're live here with Jeremy. Get some more people in the conversation to talk with him. Mark saying that on their last episode, actually, Dr. Mike described a system he saw a player using and thought that sounds familiar, and turns out he actually saw it originally on your channel. So there we go. There's the influence that Color Up is having. Matt here saying he taught himself to play craps years ago, and the Color Up videos were a tremendous resource in the learning process. That's It's pretty amazing. I mean, how many people come to you saying, "Hey, like you were my introduction to craps"?
I mean, a lot. I mean, almost daily.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's geared towards. To a degree, it's the veterans who've been playing for 20 years at the tables that you see when you go, they're not watching YouTube. They know what they're going to play, and they're not watching YouTube. They've been playing however they like to play for the last 20 years, so they're not exactly tuning in.
Yeah.
So it's more people being introduced to the games, or beginners, or that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. What is your, and you've made a handful of videos on it, but I'm going to make you spell it out here for my audience. What is your favorite strategy at a craps table? You have the bankroll to support it. You have the odds and the limits that you want. You're either by yourself or maybe just you and a friend. Like, what is your default go-to strategy that almost guarantees that you're going to enjoy the game?
I hate to give a non-answer, but I'm going to give like a non-answer of, for one, I try a lot of different things. I know that any given strategy can work at any given time. I'm not fooled into believing that, some strategy is going to work better than the others. It's just a matter of how the dice roll. So for me, I do kind of have an overall theory. And for me, it's start small, whether that's the inside bets, and then spread out to all the numbers. I like to recoup my whatever the investment is. So if I'm betting $5, it might be 22 inside or 32 across. I like to try and collect a little bit. And once I've collected that 32, at that point, I'll switch from super conservative to super aggressive, and we'll press a lot. So for me, it's recoup whatever the investment is. If you're playing like an iron cross or something, recoup that 20, 30, $50 or whatever it is you lay out on the table, recoup as much as you can. And after that, you're there to gamble, go for the moon. So really I just kind of go off that theory, but I'll try a lot of different strategies, but that's kind of how I like to play.
Okay. Ace here saying, "Hi, Jeremy." Where'd he go? Quad Boy's in the house. By the way, Quad Boy, I owe you a shirt that you ordered like a month and a half ago that went on back order. I'm finally getting it this week, and it's coming out to you. I'm excited to finally get that out there. Would be interested to hear what Jeremy thinks about dice control. Let's go here. Let's go to this topic next. I'll start with cards on the table. I understand the philosophy. I don't think it can be applied well enough or accurately enough to be able to actually gain an edge over the casino. What are your thoughts?
Well, I have a big audience that I can't alienate.
Sure.
So my official response is I'm skeptical. Everyone kind of knows where I basically stand on it. Humans do some of the craziest, most impossible things all the time.
Yeah.
I kind of think about it as golf. Par 3, I can't hit it over the water just because I can't get the ball airborne, right? But professionals are hitting it within a 10-foot circle, and sometimes they get it into the a hole in one. I'm not hitting a hole in one. These guys who practice all the time are hitting a hole in one. So, maybe. And it doesn't take much if they can get one roll. If the seven's supposed to come every 6 rolls, and they can push it to every 7 rolls for a session, they're going to gain an edge back over the casino if they're betting right. But it's hard to believe, and there's so many situations where I hate to call them. I guess they're kind of excuses of like, well, if it's a thing, then why does the casino continue to allow it? And then you go, well, in some places they don't. And I think that's only Windover, but they're funny. And there's like, why do you ever leave the casino? Just stay there and win all the money if you have an edge. And like, well, you don't want too much casino heat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. It's hard to prove one way or the other. I know there's been things like the Wizard of Oz met with some guy and they did thousands of rolls, and it's kind of be inconclusive either way. But for me, it's amazing for the game. I mean, whether you can do it or not, it attracts more people to the game. People love it, whether it's just kind of like a routine or they really believe in it or whatever. I mean, shoot, go for it. It doesn't hurt to try, obviously.
Yeah. If I am a box man, if I'm the casino, the only thing that would bother me about dice control is how long it takes for the dice to get rolled. Honestly, like that's the only thing that would bug me, right? Is this is really slowing the game down, right? Because there's a few types of players, few types of shooters at the dice table that really have to go through like their routine before throwing it, and the people setting up their throw, attempting to apply some sort of control. I mean, like, you know, like they gotta make sure it's lined up right. They gotta make sure their grip's right, and they have to have like that perfect like pendulum sort of like swing and release. It's actually really fascinating to watch the meticulous, you know, like the routine they go through and how it's like like they just sort of try to replicate it as much as they can over and over. I find that part actually pretty fascinating. I'm skeptical, like most people, that even if you are applying it properly, that because of the randomness of a dice roll, because of the back wall and the way it's constructed, that being able to do enough times again a house edge is probably unlikely. So, but so long as there is a dice table open, Jeremy, there will be a conversation about whether or not dice control works.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I mean, I would go completely for it if it weren't for that daggone pyramid wall. You know, once it hits those, it seems like, well, I mean, even if you controlled it and had it would land flat and everything like that, it seems kind of impossible. But yeah, as far as the boxman, I get his job is to get rolls per hour because that's how they make money. But for me as a player, I don't mind it. I love it, and I love the guys with all the, I don't know if you were going to talk about that later, but all the different methods, not just dice controllers, but the guys who will roll backwards or they'll keep rolling while they're trying to choose dice. And to me, I love all that stuff. I'll watch it just because it's fascinating to watch the people and their little intricacies and whatever.
Let's talk about this, because this is part of the craps culture, right? That what you're describing, those routines, whether it's dice control, superstition, whether it's just what they like doing before their roll. You know, Mark Duvall, I give him a hard time when I'm rolling, when I'm playing with him in person. He likes to, like, as soon as the dice are pushed forward, he tries to get them out of his hand as quickly as possible, like grab and release. And I tried mimicking him one time and like threw the dice like off the table, and I stopped doing that again. But you know, like I said, there's the people who roll the dice until they like see what they want and they throw it. There's the people who like to set up the dice a certain way. There's people who like to stack the dice. I'm a dice stacker. Okay. I like to you know, put one dice on top of the other and then just sort of give it a nice lob, and it's kind of fun to watch the dice sort of separate and then come back together almost as they before they hit the wall. I do, if I'm left of I should say, yeah, if I'm right next to stick, I like doing sort of a backhanded toss right down the side of the table and having it like come around the hook, all sorts of ways. Mississippi Rob, I don't know if he's in the house, but I've seen him actually even overhand throw it. We were in Biloxi one time, and he picked up the dice and he threw them overhand, and everybody stopped, and the dealers kind of looked at each other like, "What the fuck was that?"
You don't see that too often, but I have seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of your what are some of the more unique sort of routines or habits you've seen people employed there at the dice table?
Unique. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of the guys who will shake it and they're looking for certain combinations, so they'll keep dropping them until they get the right combination. You know, I like the guys who snap. Yes. As soon as they toss and snap. I think that's coming from the street game. As far as toss, pretty much, you know, I mean, one guy like kind of toss him under his arm type thing, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if anything like really weird.
How do you throw the dice? Are you a lobber? Do you like chucking them? How do you like throwing them?
Okay, so I mix it up. I mean, typically as soon as they're pushed, I'll grab and throw.
Okay.
But it depends on kind of who's there. But sometimes, and I think it drives them nuts because I've seen people do this a lot, is I'll grab two, like I care what they are. I'll pull them out and I'll set them to a number. I don't even know what number. I just rotate them so it looks like I'm setting, and then I'll focus. and then I'll shake them up and toss them, and it drives people nuts. They're like, what was the setting for if you're just going to shake them and toss them? I'm like, well, it's my secret. It's my secret sauce, you know.
Yo, that must drive people nuts. Like, you ruined it. Whatever it is that you were just doing, you ruined it.
Yeah. So I mean, I do it quick. It's not like I'm taking forever and then shaking and toss them. It's kind of, but it is a little of a little, you know, play with them. So.
My favorite part about the you know, the shooters that are throwing it against like the back wall, like next to them, waiting for like that combination to come up. Like, at what point do they just say screw it and throw it? And then if they ever come to that point, what's the point of going through that routine in the first place?
Yeah, I've heard different things. I heard they're trying to get the ghost out, like they're trying to get the 7 first. So if they can see the 7 come up, then they know it won't show up in their roll. And then some people are looking for a particular number. They're like, I got to hit that 9 because that's my number. If I could hit the 9, I'm going to have a lucky roll. So I've heard it from guys both ways.
Okay. That's okay. What are some of your pet peeves at the craps table? What are you know, what are some etiquette type things that you know, you're like, I kind of wish they didn't do that?
I mean, the things like buying in the middle of the roll and that sort of stuff, it doesn't really bother me. You know, the hands on the table and all that kind of stuff, just because I know a lot of people are kind of new to the game or whatever. If they're doing that, they're new to the game. So that stuff doesn't bother me as far as, so like game etiquette, I don't think to me, it doesn't bother me that much because I think people are all at different levels of where they're at or what their knowledge is, and they don't know better or whatever. So me, it's more of just human etiquette of, you know, the belligerent drunk or, you know, the guy that's just really giving the dealer a hard time or just the jerk at the table. So not necessarily specifics about the game, but more about, you know, just being a decent person overall.
Yeah, being a decent person. You would think that wouldn't be such a tall ask, but sometimes it's difficult to get that from people. Going over to the chat to see. Ace is curious. Is anything you practice regularly and consistently you will improve? Whether or not it works with the dice, who knows? But it can't hurt. Sure. I mean, if you think you have it down, I mean, there's no reason not to do it, right? Quite by bringing up the marching soldier. Have you heard? So I mean, obviously you're probably aware of this because I know you listen to You Can Bet on That. They brought up the marching soldier. Is that the first time you'd heard of that, or had you heard of that before?
No, I've heard of it. Yeah.
You had heard of it. Okay.
Yeah. I'm friends with a few of the YouTubers, and I think that particular one they did from, I think, Let It Roll, which is a real good friend of mine.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah. What's that culture been like now that you entered the gambling and specifically the craps, YouTube space? Tell me about sort of how you like gained these friendships with these other YouTubers and how, like opportunities maybe you've gotten to either collaborate or just talking about content. What's that been like?
Overall, it's pretty positive. I kind of I'm definitely by far not the first one to do it. There, like I said, there were channels before me, but I'm kind of the first one who kind of took it serious, did it consistently, did it with high quality. And so I got a jump start on everyone. And so, you know, I got a lot of followers, but there's a lot of smaller channels. And, you know, people ask me you know, oh my gosh, they're doing the same thing you're doing. I'm like, oh, for one, big deal. For two, I'm a believer in like a rising tide floats all ships type of guy. So, yeah, you know, I try to support them and say nice things if I can, because I'd love to see them all do well. It's just good for the community, and everyone has a little different, you know, niche, or, you know, some people might not like my voice, or they don't like how I present things, or they don't like that I'm not a dice control guy, or whatever else, you know. So there are other opportunities for other people, but there's a few that I've really kind of become friends with, and we meet at the casino, and it's kind of, you know, they're actual friends now, which is pretty cool. You know, long ago, I'm like, it was a little weird about, you know, people developing friends or getting married over the internet, but, you know, I've started an online club, and you really do get to know these people and kind of their quirks and their personality, and you become friends with them. So yeah, it's really been a positive experience for sure.
Okay. Kawhi boy. If I see a don't player on the other side, their stack becomes my target if I'm throwing. I've definitely, as a don't player, seen my chips become the target of people. But at the same time, you get the people who are superstitious and thinking that if dice hit the chips, right? So it's a catch-22.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the what are some of superstitions that you've seen at the dice table? Obviously, like we're saying 7 and stuff like that. We all know, but I've seen shooters freak out because the waitress bringing their drink got too close while they were shooting, right? And have you seen anything unique or bizarre in the superstition world at the table?
The same dice thing is always interesting to me. I kind of get it, if they feel like they've been in the middle of the roll. So for those who maybe don't know, whenever you roll the dice and they bounce off the table, which happens, it happens to everybody, they fly off the table, you can request the same dice. And this particular guy, his dice went off the table. I think it wasn't the first time. Maybe it was the second time the dice went off his table. They went off. He got them back, same dice. They gave him the same dice. They inspect them, make sure there's nothing wrong with the dice, and they let him play with them. Then a few more rolls goes by, and they went off the table again. Same dice, same dice. Everyone's looking for him. The pit guy's looking for him. One of the other dealers, a couple of players, they can't find the dice. After a few minutes, they're like, "Sir, you're just going to have to choose it. We just cannot find this dice." I don't know if they ever did find it, but he's about in tears that he can't get the same dice back. He's like, "You don't understand." He said, "I've been having a great roll." And he's just like about in tears. I'm like, "Oh, this poor guy, he just wants the same dice, but they can't find it."
He just wants his dice back.
Right. And everyone's like, "Well, let's turn our bets off. Everyone knows what's going to happen." And so he finally did choose the dice. I don't know. It felt like forever. I'm sure it was only like a 3-minute process or whatever, but it felt like 10, 15 minutes that this was going on. And this guy's like coming to tears. He wants the same dice. And he rolled like 2 numbers just fine. He didn't do the immediate 7 out because that's the superstition. As soon as dice go off the table, the next roll's a 7. So he rolled like 2 numbers, and then the next number was a 7 out, and then he just lost his crap. He's like, "Oh my gosh," and he's like so upset, and he's yelling at everyone, "I told you I needed the same dice." And they're like, "Sir, I'm sorry, we couldn't find," and he just was flipping out. And I'm like, "Well, I mean, you did roll a couple before." So I don't know. It was kind of weird to see a grown man kind of emotional about not getting the same dice. But I mean, who knows? Maybe he would have rolled for another hour if he got the same dice back, but he didn't. So
Mark saying, if I see someone's hands down the table when I have the dice, I try to hit their hands. Of course you do, Mark. Of course you do. I that is something I understand people get antsy and people get, you can see when people are like indecisive, and then all of a sudden, like in that last moment, they want to make a bet, right? Like all of a sudden, and then of course, a dice might hit them or it comes close. They got to get yelled at. That's those things. When it happens once, I'm like, all right, we've all gotten a little antsy, or maybe we're not paying attention. Like I've definitely been I've definitely not even known that the dice have been pushed, and I'm just like, yeah, give me, and all of a sudden the dice come flying. But when someone is, they're usually the people who have been drinking and not really paying attention, and like when it happens multiple times, I'm like, all right, I'd really like it if this guy was no longer at the table. Kawhi Boy's curious about next trips to Vegas. I'm going in June, late June, for Vegas Vacation 10, put on by 360 Vegas. I'll be there for the few days that are there. Jeremy, Wendy, I mean, you're over in Colorado. You're much closer than I am. How often do you find yourself going to Vegas? When's your next trip planned?
I don't have anything planned. Maybe like Memorial Day weekend. Some friends of mine run Casino Quest, and I think my brother wants to get out to Vegas, so I might go out there Memorial Day weekend. But yeah, I mean, my wife's a flight attendant, so we get some perks, so I can really kind of make it out there whenever I choose to. I just I don't know. I don't go that much. I'm not worried about the pandemic or anything like that, but I'm not good at planning things and making a trip. I might wake up 2 days from tomorrow and be like, let's go to Vegas, but not much of a planner.
Okay. Ace asking June 16th and the 19th. I don't know who's that's directed at, but if that's at 20th to the 23rd is the time, is the days in June that I'll be there. What else is here? Gregory saying I would turn my bets off for 3 rolls if the dice hit the floor. That's interesting. I definitely have a, the superstitions are fun, right? Like they're sometimes fun to play into. Especially when you we hear a superstition and we like kind of play into it when I'm with other friends. But I'm, I don't care what happens with the dice, right? I don't care if they, hit the ceiling before they before they go onto the dice table. I'm just sitting back there on the don't pass, minding my own business, But it is funny. I do find myself, even though I don't believe in them, I do find myself joining other players in sort of being upset about things, right? Like, when dice go off the table, or like when a dice hits like chips, and you're like, oh, like I join them and sort of like, of course that was a 7. That happens.
I don't know if we talked about this pre-show or actually during the show, but I put up the recent live casino video. And the guy threw like 44 times or something like that. But it's interesting. He threw the dice off the table 3 times, and all 3 times his very next roll hit the point. And he continued to roll. So yeah, it goes off opposite. The superstition worked opposite there. Dice off the table means automatic winning the point. So it's kind of funny.
What do we got here? Cousin Joey, have you and Jeremy made it to Laughlin yet? I've never been to Laughlin. In fact, I guess I've played in Tahoe, Reno. Yeah, I have not been to Laughlin. You neither?
Mm-mm.
No.
That's Arizona, right? Or no? Was that the corner of like Arizona and Nevada? Is that Laughlin?
Is it? I don't even know. I'm really bad at my. Bad at my
I lived in Arizona for a few years, and they have tribal casinos, but they don't have any table games. No dice and balls there. So. Laughlin, I get confused with Wendover, which is Utah.
Mark is confirming that you are correct. Jimmy Wynn, Cindy's still planning on being in Biloxi in April. I do. April 20. Oh goodness, what is it? April. I should know my own travel dates, right? April 23rd, 24th, 25. That weekend's when I plan on being in Biloxi. So the only thing that will keep me from that is if for some reason the casinos down there remove their mask mandate and I don't have a vaccine. And I think there's a good. I do not anticipate. I messaged Bo Ravage asking. They're like, yeah, we plan on having our mask mandate for a while. So I'll just have to stay in the casino. Darn. Let's see. I gotta. What sort of this is kind of an odd question, so it's okay if you don't really have an answer to this, but what dealer behavior do you reward the most, right? We all condone tipping the dealer. You should always support your dealers, but is there something that a dealer does that makes you throw in an extra toke, that makes you maybe tip a little bit more often? What do you like seeing from your dealers?
Just acting like he cares to be there. He'll interact, or she will interact with you, or just, hey, how you doing? Just a little, not much, just a little interaction, and not act like they don't want to be there. It seems like more and more there's more dealers that feels like you're doing them a favor or something, or they don't want to be there. I don't know the percentage wise, if I don't want to give them a bad name or anything, but there are, it doesn't take much. Just, hey, how you doing? Oh man, oh, that was awesome. Kind of get involved in the game a little bit. Yes, the point was hit type thing, or just show a little bit of concern or personality towards the player, just a little bit.
I've brought this up on my podcast a couple times. I'll tell the story again for the viewers here in the stream. We were at Foxwoods up in Connecticut, and we were there for the first iteration of Gamblepalooza that Vito put on, and they had reserved us a couple craps tables, and so I walked over to one of them that was reserved. And no one else is there, so I think I started playing the don't. So if there's no one in my group that are there, I usually just default to the don't. And I put on, I kind of threw my chips. I was across from one of the dealers, and I kind of like threw my chips out towards the DC, the don't come. And he was like, "Wait, you can't make that? You can't reach that? You can't reach the DC?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry." Like I was kind of, I maybe I understand his points. Maybe I could have reached forward, just placed them on there. It's me and like one other person at the table, so I guess they're not busy enough for me to like. And then the stick was like self-serve table, and I was like, bullshit, self-serve table. I can't pay myself. You know, like you're not gonna let me pay myself out. I can't touch half the shit on a table. Self-serve. I was so angry. I pulled my bets off and I went somewhere else. But that's probably the worst experience I've ever had at craps table with the deal. It's almost like they didn't want people on the table. Like it's like they were trying to like not want you to not be there, so that way they could just stand there. I hate that. Oh man, that was so upsetting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it seems like for the most part they do a fine job, and I don't mind new dealers or mistakes, or because I kind of teach on my channel. Listen, know your stuff, know your payouts. So if they do make a mistake, you can correct it or whatever. So that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. But you just be a decent person, man.
Yeah, no kidding. Cousin Joey said the Bettor Life shirt is great. Got a lot of comments here. Is Juliet good? I'm glad. Thanks to everybody who cops that stuff. betterlife.us/merch. Promo code YO11 for 11% off your purchase. The YO, Jeremy, when I'm on the don't, the YO is the only number that does nothing for me, right? Like it's the only, it can only lose me money.
Okay.
And so I was like, why not create a promo code around the number that, that drives me nuts. Why do you think they call it YO? Don't say because 11 sounds like 7. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Why YO? Like why was that the noise they decided to use to distinguish the? You don't know?
No, I mean I've only heard the it rhymes with 7, but they could have picked anything else.
Right.
I've heard from a couple dealers that it's not YO 11, but it's YO 11. They don't even say the E, so it's YO 11. But I don't know that for a fact, but I have heard that from multiple dealers. But where the YO came from, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see here. I got the big list of questions here. Do you have any rhyme or reason to the 2 dice that you choose from the 5 that you were given? Like, do you ever think about it, or do you just grab 2 and throw?
I've never thought about it. I mean, like I mentioned before, sometimes I'll just grab 2 and wing them, and sometimes I'll grab 2 and act like I care somewhat, but I don't know what numbers are facing. I don't care what numbers are facing for me personally.
Okay. I will often choose an ace and a deuce.
Okay.
If they're there. If they're not there, I don't care. Right. Like if they shove them forward and there's a bunch of 4, 5s, and 6s, I'll just grab 2 and throw. Right. But if there's an ace and a deuce, I always have to grab those 2. For some reason.
Even if you're playing on the light side, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just your thing. Okay.
It's just my thing. Yeah. It's just my thing. You know what? I think there has to be a little bit of childhood nostalgia there. Me and my dad played backgammon a lot when I was a kid. And I remember him always saying AC Deucey, like while we were playing that. And so I think that has stuck with me. Mm-hmm. Jeremy, it's difficult to have a conversation all about craps without bringing on someone from a podcast that is known for their crafts discussions. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Duvall from You Can Bet on That, sir. How are you?
Hey, wow. It took me, I got things set up real quick. How's my voice? How's my audio? It sounded so bad on the last podcast, Tim. When I downloaded the podcast version, I couldn't even listen to it. It was embarrassing. Is it still bad?
Yeah, you got some gain. You got some gain coming in there, Mark.
All right, I got to figure out what's going on. Jeremy, nice to finally meet you, sort of.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of yours for years and years, and I think I've been through at least the catalog twice. I love your stuff and love you guys' stories.
Oh, well, thanks. And we've definitely got some listeners thanks to you. We actually hear people say, "Oh, I heard about you from Color Up." So, tremendous work you're doing over there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've mentioned you in a few videos. Said if you
Yeah.
want to listen to a podcast, you got to go to this one. These guys go every weekend, so they got some stories. So if you love crafts,
Yeah, definitely.
it's a podcast for you. So yeah, eventually at some point I know there was a listener who like emailed me, and I guess he said he emailed you and said he was going to connect us, and
I saw that. Yeah, and then I hadn't heard anything since then. Yeah,
I haven't followed. I think I dropped the ball and I haven't followed through. But I think I'd be a little nervous dealing to you guys. But yeah, I don't know.
Nah.
Maybe it's something I got to have you on my show at some point because
That'd be fun.
I am a big fan and people love the show.
All right, Mark, we'll have you hang around here for a couple questions.
Okay, let's go. I'll try to fix my audio in the meantime.
Very good. This is a great one here. What's your favorite way to tip a dealer? Mine is I usually, if I'm playing the pass line, I will usually just make a dealer bet on the pass line as well. If I'm on the don't and I want to tip the dealer, I usually make a hard way bet that isn't a number that I have any action on. Jeremy?
Place bets for the dealers.
Okay.
Yeah. Typically, I like to control it so we can press them up, like if they like to gamble. But yeah, I'll start usually inside numbers, and if the roll's going good, I'll get them all across all the numbers with place bets.
Okay, Mark.
How can you still hear me? I just to the volume through. Can you hear?
Yes, a little bit, but you're crack.
Might be worse. Yeah.
Yeah. How's your internet down there in San Diego? You guys don't struggle with the Wi-Fi down there? What's up?
You move on. I'll answer. I'm going to try one more thing. And
all right, we're just gonna. I'm gonna give Mark
worse. But...
yeah, I'm gonna give Mark the veto treatment and just kick him out of the stream. What else do we have here? We got nothing else from the go here. Player control rules, so you can press the dealer bets. Do you press your dealer bets, or you let them collect?
No, if I can, I'll see if they'll press them. So,
okay. Yeah, cool. Okay, so Mark Duvall just came in from You Can Bet on That. What other podcasts do you listen to in the space? I know you mentioned before we started recording that the pandemic has made it a little more difficult to get through some of your favorite podcasts, but what other shows are you listening to in the gambling space here?
Oops, sorry. Hopefully my camera's still up.
Nope.
Oh,
technical difficulties all over the place. Oh my goodness. Oh, we are nose diving here.
Hopefully this connects.
Oh goodness. This is great.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You can answer the question though.
What was the question?
What was the question? It was man, I don't remember the stupid question. I got so caught up with the technical difficulties here.
Connected to the computer. I don't know why it's not. I'm using my phone to connect to my computer, and I don't know how to just. Let's see, camera mic. Maybe I can switch to.
So Kawhi Boy is saying when you come to Vegas, there he is. Got you on something. Oh, there you disappeared.
Yeah. I'll just switch to this. This is my iMac camera or whatever.
You got to do the 30 roll challenge at Casino Quest. What's he referring to here?
Casino Quest, they just do you get 30 rolls and you make bets, and then they kind of have a leaderboard.
Oh,
I've never done it with them, but it's kind of popular with them.
Very good. I will I'll give that a shot. All right, so this is a question that I knew that I was really curious. People when people want to learn craps, right? You have you introduce them to the pass line, the basics. Then people start getting used to it and everything, and then of course the world sort of opens up to how they are going to then play craps, right? Like the strategies and the systems, etc. What strategy do you recommend to someone who is still new to craps, but they're looking to sort of advance their game past just a simple pass line bet?
Oh boy, that's a tough question. I don't know if I ever steer people towards like a particular strategy. I like to try to tell people to learn all the different ways to play. So that includes the dark side for sure. And some people kind of throw that away right away, which is, that's fine. But I'm I guess it's more, I try to convince them to go with a theory of, are you going to just spin your wheels and get free drinks? Because there's strategies for that. Are you going to be conservative and just try to lose as little as you can and break even, maybe you win a few bucks? Or are you going to go for the home run? So you kind of find out where they fit as far as their personality, because I think it's really personality driven of how you like to play. And once you kind of find their personality or like what their goals are of playing, then I can kind of steer them towards a couple, different strategies. But really for me, it's more about, okay, what's your personality? What's your style? Or what do you want to accomplish here? And then I can kind of go from there.
Yeah. I will, let's see. Mark, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How do I sound?
Sound better. Yeah, you sound better.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Thanks for bringing me back.
Of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, I had to give you the veto treatment there for a quick second.
Understood.
But yeah, talking about strategies to recommend to new players that have maybe are matured past the pass line bet. Maybe they've like placed a 6 and 8 here and there, but there's a lot of different ways to approach craps. I always recommend a 3-point molly that and letting the bets resolve. That is actually my preferred way to play, which is probably why I recommend it. But my preferred way to play, especially actually on both sides, on the don't and on the pass, I like to get 3 points up and then let them resolve.
Okay, so in other words, if you win one of them, you don't replace it. Is that what you're saying?
It depends on how the session's been going, right? So if the session's been going well, then yeah, maybe. Well, on the don't, they all resolve at once on the winning side,
yeah,
right?
Right,
they all
yes,
win.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I'm on the pass and 3 points are up and one resolves, yeah, if it's been a good session, I might get another one up there. If I'm around even or below, I'll let at least one more resolve before I get more action on there. Because I mean, Mark, you and I have talked about this at the table. That I mean, you can so easily get 3 points up 7, 3 points up 7, 3 points up 7, or 3 points up and then a couple hit, you replace them, and then the 7 comes and you hit a couple points, but you just lost 3 of them, right? So it's so right. I like to get, Jeremy, you're talking about get some of your investment back. That's sort of one of the ways that I do it is let those come bets resolve before getting more action out there.
Well, I could tell you when you asked earlier, my kind of real world experience in reading the books before I start my YouTube channel. So all the books are basically 3-point molly and max odds and that sort of thing. So that's what I did. I did, come bet or continuous come bets and odds. I don't know if I ever did max because I'm not much of a gambler, pretty conservative, but I usually 2 times odds. And it seemed like the first multiple sessions out, 3 points got up and then they'd all come down. They'd all get wiped out. And session after session would go like that. I'm like, you know what? Maybe there are other ways to play. I understand this is mathematically the best way to weigh, and that makes sense for the casino over the years span. But, for me and my 1 hour there, I don't know, I'm investing a lot of money and it seems like maybe there's other ways to play this game. So that's whenever I started, looking at trying to reach out in different strategies and different things. So yeah, the 3-point molly bit me very early on. And I'm like, well, maybe there's other ways. I mean, I still play it from time to time. Obviously they're good bets, but yeah.
Jeremy, do you ever combine like 3-point molly and place bets? So maybe, place the inside. Okay. And so you let your come bets go up and basically replace. Yeah. Okay. Good.
And then the winnings, used for the odds and that sort of thing.
Right. Down with however many odds you want. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah.
So one of my favorite strategies that I've played that I really have only done once, and I think the reason why I haven't done it again is because it was a really good strategy for when I was by myself. Or not just by myself as like in a group, but like there's maybe a max 3 people at any given time at the table, right? Is don't come bet, max odds, and if the point isn't a 6 or if the point isn't 6 or 8, I will place a 6 and 8. And the reason why I liked it, and the way that I make sure that the way I'm pricing it is making sure that the odds cover the place bets, and that a couple place bets could cover the odds right behind. And of course, like every crap strategy has the holes in which you can lose, a lot. But what was nice about that is, I think the most disappointing part about playing the don't is there's only one number you really care about, right? And then, like, until that comes up, you're just like, all right, just get on with it. But what's nice about this is, you get two numbers up there that are fun to hit. They come around more often, and it gives, as a don't player, it gives you more numbers to care about in any given session or shooter. So yeah.
I show plenty of hedging strategies on my channel, and people love them. Me personally, I just won't do it. Just doesn't. I mean, again, going back to what your goals are. If you want to just get free drinks and stay there a while, you have $100 and you want to hang out with your friends for an hour. Yeah, there's hedging strategies to play. But for me personally, I'm not going to bet against myself and kind of, half and half. I'm going to go one way or the other and just ride it out.
Yeah. I mean, I set it up that way, not necessarily to be a hedge, but just to give myself more things to be excited about. Yeah. And I just happen to hedge it so that way, worst case, maybe I get some of my money back if one of those don't go the way go the way it's supposed to. But and like I said, it was purely at it for it gave me more entertainment. I was just there sort of killing time, getting drinks, stuff like that. Right. So it was a really good strategy for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark, you said that the marching soldier. I mean, I don't know if you're willing to break this on the Bettor Life here. If you want to save this for you can bet on that. It's valuable content for you guys over there. But, but you said that Mike got to 10.
Yeah. So anybody who listened to the last couple episodes knows that Mike tried the marching soldier, where it was basically you try to hit all the box numbers in order. You start by betting on the 4, and if that hits, you take all the money and bet it on the 5, and if that hits, you take all the money and bet on the 6. The idea being that you get all the way to the 10, and hopefully the 10 hits. And the first time Mike tried it, he got to the 9 and chickened out and took almost all the money back on the 9, and then immediately rolled a 9 and was so mad at himself. He says he'll never do it again. So yeah, this last weekend, he did get up to a 10, same kind of thing, pressed it all the way up to a 10. So he didn't chicken out, but also the 10 did not come up. So he still has not actually hit it.
Okay. Well, I look forward to hearing about it. It's going to happen. And I look forward to
is he going to keep playing it?
I think so. And how Mike is, he's always trying to think through these things. So now he's mixing it up. Like he'll start on the 10 and then he'll move it over to the 4 and then to the 9. And so he's marching, in a different way through the through the table, through the felt. So
marching in like an echelon formation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, he's got to get it right. He's got to accomplish and beat the thing.
Yeah. He has to be able to say it now. Yeah. It's a goal. It's challenge accepted. Yeah.
Now, I feel like we have 3 very objective craps players here, very straightforward in the way that we enjoy it, our opinions about this or that. But I feel like every craps player, at the very least, has a preferred spot to stand at the table. If I am playing the don't, I like being up by the dealer so I can just easily just dump my chips down onto the DC. Otherwise, I like to be on the very side, looking down the entire length of the table. Jeremy, where do you like standing?
Well, I'm considerate of the dice controller, so I don't stand anywhere near the stickman. So usually straight out, whatever's open, straight out or by the next to the dealer is fine. But yeah.
Yeah. Mark, preference?
These days when it's only 3 to a side, it doesn't really matter so much. But back in the olden days, I kind of like to be straight across from the dealer that's on my side of the table, so that he's like right in front of me. So that might be, 2 from the stick, typically, something like that. But yeah. But I'll just try to find a spot. I'll be honest with you. I'll try to find a spot where there's not a lot of foot traffic behind me, and sometimes that's right next to the dealer.
Sure.
Just because I tend to kind of get antsy and walk around. I just don't want to back up into somebody who might be walking by.
Yeah. Tim Kennedy saying he likes the hook. It's like a nice, I do like that has a nice spot for like my my backhanded toss down around the hook on the other side. I do enjoy that. I want to give a shout out real quick. Travel Fanboy just launched a newsletter, travelfanboy.com/newsletter. He has not asked me to do this. I just think it's cool that he's taken this initiative. If you're interested, if you like Vegas and you don't mind getting newsletters twice a month, check out what he's doing there. I like seeing Adam creating content again.
Yeah, supposedly it's going to be, a lot different from a lot of the other newsletters out there. Apparently. I don't know. People who know Adam, that's supposedly what he's doing.
It's going to be the newsletter that opposes all newsletters in some way. It's going to be the newsletter that does it different. Who's the best craps player you've ever shot with? I mean, best is in like skill. I guess Dr. Mike is, as far as like maneuvering around a craps table. And what I mean by skill is like, if Dr. Mike were to give me his order, if you were going to call it that, for what bets he wants, I'd mess it up, right? I'd be like, what is this stuff that you want again? What do you want here? He's very, he's very aware of where his bets are and what he needs. I mean, Mark, you play. I mean, I've only played with him twice, so I have a very small sample size here. Mark, how would you answer this question? You can approach it however you'd like. Who's the best craps player you play?
I mean, it's very fun to watch Mike play. It's sort of a dance that he has with the dealers, and they get into the rhythm, and they know what he wants to do. So much going on the come out roll. So yeah, best is kind of a hard question to answer, but it is a lot of fun to watch Dr. Mike play. Sure.
Yeah, Jeremy.
I mean, I don't really have an answer. No one personally I know. Usually, if I'm in Vegas, I'll go like to the Bellagio tables, and there'll be a couple guys that kind of how Mark's describing. They love the middle, and they've got all kinds of bets going, and the dealers just, I don't know, flow with them. And so that's really fun to watch on kind of a high limit table where guys are just kind of flowing with the dealer.
Yeah. Longest rolls you've personally seen at a craps table. I'll tell you, as a dome player, they all seem a little too long. If you ask me, they all take a little too long to resolve. I think this is not a definite answer, but Mark, you were there when we were at Foxwoods at Gamblepalooza. We had a nice 2 players, I think, had back-to-back rolls that took a decent amount of time when we were there. I'm trying to think. I can't think of one that was like epically long. That's the thing. I don't feel like I'm yet to be at a table where like you can see the dust rings left from the chips because they're emptying the chips so much. But I haven't been at a roll like that quite yet. Jeremy, what's the longest you've seen? In a real casino, not on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I mean, this last session that I actually filmed, so within the table going around once, again, with only 6 shooters, 2 of them rolled for 44, which is pretty big. But as far as really epic, I don't remember ever seeing or being involved in one. I do remember this one time in Black Hawk. It was at the Gill Pen, and they had the all tall small, and this guy, he had like maybe 2 point, or had hit 2 numbers. He basically had started rolling, and I hadn't bought in yet. So I'm the kind of guy, I'm waiting till this guy's done. And he went on and rolled the all tall small twice as I watched him, and I never did get to buy. I never did. At some point I'm like, well, I'll just do it when the puck is off. And then I'm like, you know what? This guy's like, he's having a great time. He's in the mojo. I think there was only him and one other player. So I'm like, I'm just going to wait. I know I'm missing out on this, but yeah, I watched him roll all the numbers. So it wasn't a super long number, but he rolled the, all 12 or 11 numbers twice in a row. So that was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. Mark?
I can't think of a specific single roll, but Mike and I were at Planet Hollywood once, and we played at the same table from 6 p.m. to midnight, and the dice went around the table once. And that included me immediately 7ing out. So, that was astounding. That's certainly the best session we've ever had. Just a bunch of great rolls.
Wow. Absolutely. Mark, we'll keep you on for one more question here. I'm curious, who choose two or three people from anywhere in life to join you for a craps session? You don't need to know whether or not they play craps. Who do you think it would be fun to play craps with? And Mark, I'm sure you've gotten. I'm sure you both have actually gotten this this question at some point or another. I thought about this myself. I try now that I do this episode with Mark. I've challenged myself to know what my answer is before I ask the question to like actually to so that way I feel like I'm being fair and asking a question and making people feel obligated to answer it. Oddly enough, I think Stephen Colbert would be a lot of fun at a craps table. I think I'd like to play with oh goodness, with Phil Ivey. I heard that he enjoys the dice
you took
table.
one of my answers. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then I think I'm having a hard time. Like all these names are like cycling through my head. Like that one, no, that one, no, that one, no, that one, no, that one. I was gonna say the Pope. That's probably a little cheesy. The Pope's probably not throwing dice. Barack Obama, I think, would be fun. I can see him. I can see him like rolling up his sleeves, be like, "Let's throw some dice, fellas." You know, like I can see him like he probably threw some dice in his days. Mark, I took one. What else do you got?
I had my dad's uncle, so my great uncle Frank was this great guy, smart guy. Worked for Caltech and worked on like the space program in the 60s and that kind of thing. And we would talk about craps, but we never actually got to play. And he passed away, a few years back. So that's one answer, my Uncle Frank. The other, now, does this have to be real people? Living,
no.
Dead?
No.
Can I pick Data from Star Trek? Because that would be kind of fun, since he rolled pretty good at that table. But, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, those guys that are kind of known for, going and throwing a lot of money in and gambling. I think somebody like that would be fun.
You just took mine there. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Who else, Jeremy?
Like you mentioned, Charles Barkley. As a kid, I grew up as a Michael Jordan fan, but he's too intense. But Charles Barkley, I guess, gambled with him, and he's kind of a wacky, character. Yeah. So that would have been fun, and he gambles a lot. But yeah, a little sappy maybe. But I lost my dad as a kid, so it would be cool as an adult to play dice with him.
Yeah,
I got the chance.
Absolutely. All right, Mark, I'm going to let you go here. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for chatting with us.
All right, great show. Nice to meet you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Mike. Same.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, I forgot to ask you, do you have a hard out? Do I have a few more minutes with you here? Or you like
whatever.
You're like, I'm just chilling. Someone did what about Christopher Walken? That's an absolutely great response. Yes. Speaking of Christopher Walken, he is in the movie Pool Hall Junkies, which Mark and I are going to be going over the next time him and I do our Better Viewing episode. Someone was asking best session on the table, buy-in and cash out. I don't know if I know my my biggest like what the gap is, but I do remember a really significant craps game where I was in Vegas. I think it was for my my bachelor party. It wasn't so much of a party, so much of it was just me and a few of my friends like in town and running around Vegas, but every time I left a craps table up, I would take those winnings and I was placing it on Golden State first half against I think it was against the Cavaliers, and it was like they just had to cover 3 points, and I loved this bet. So every time I won at a table, I would go and bet. So it got to a point where like I had quite a bit of money on Golden State to cover the 3 here. And I ended up playing craps at the link, watching that game, and it was a beautiful don't session, right? 1 point, or 1, 2, 3, 7 out, 1, 2, 3, 7 out, and that's happening as Golden State is leading this half, and it was just a beautiful. I don't know if that technically is the biggest dollar amount gap I've had between buy-in but that is definitely like the most money I think I've sort of cumulatively won sort of all at once with these different things going on. Can you recall a big win you've had?
No, I don't have any special stories. I'm a low limit player. I mean, I'll buy in $200-$300 and I've done well a couple times, but I've never gotten a pumpkin, $1,000 chip. I've never been able to color up for a pumpkin. So I haven't done that well, I guess. So
He's like, yeah, I bought in for $400, or I bought it for $200. I left with $235.
Yeah.
That was quite the,
Yeah.
yeah.
That sounds like my typical session, really.
Right. Biggest loss. I've definitely lost a grand at the craps table. Not proud of it. But that definitely that definitely happened. Yeah. Fortunately, a lot of that was, I mean, I never like saying house money, but like most of that was not money that I showed up with originally, right? That was, but that was over a really long session, a whole lot of fun. It was a $25 table because it was, and that, so, that's the largest sum loss that I've had, but it definitely, because it was a $25 table, right? There's just less hands to have there. Yeah. I think I've played with Phil at the Palms. Oh my goodness. Wow. Playing with Phil Ivey at the Palms is incredible. Very good. I think that's Joshua Hall wants to know if you're gonna do a marching soldier episode on your channel. They're calling for it.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know is he asking if it's on my channel or I'm going to do it. I mean, it's covered on my friend Let It Roll channel, and obviously you can bet on that now. I've talked about it. I mean, maybe I'll do it.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't have any plans to.
Very good.
Like I said, I got a stack of like 700 strategies, and let alone the videos I want to do. So
how long does it take you to, like when you decide, all right, I'm gonna do this, like how many hours of production are you putting into these strategy videos that you're doing?
Because I'm a YouTuber, the first thing I'm developing like an idea of what the title is. People call them clickbait, whatever, but they work. So I'm developing the title and idea of what the thumbnail should look like. So that's a little bit of work. And after that, I just kind of, some of them, they don't communicate them real well. So I'll run through the strategy, trying to figure it out, make sure I understand it down pat. So that might be an hour, maybe.
Okay.
Of kind of familiarizing myself with that. And then after that, I turn on the camera and the strategies get one shot. I mean, they are never re-roll. I think once I did because my camera didn't record, or I ran out of battery or something like that, and I didn't know it. But all strategies get one shot, and the dice dictate. The dice gods say, if it's good or not. I don't re-roll them to make them look good or look bad or anything. It is just what it is at that given moment. So, and people have over time came to appreciate that kind of like honesty of just, it is what it is. It might be a great strategy, it might not, but this given moment, it worked great or it didn't work great.
Yeah. What? I mean, I have to ask as a production video person myself. What camera are you using?
Currently Panasonic G85. It's maybe like low end ish.
Looks good.
Lineup.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, I used to. I've rolled it up. I used to always in the film world, everything is shot in 24 frames, and for this, at some point like 2 years ago, I switched to 60 frames because I'm like, well, I don't want motion blur, so I want the dice nice and crisp and sharp, and so I've been shooting everything in 60 frames for the last year or two.
Yeah,
and it seems to be pretty sharp.
Okay. What day you upload on Fridays, right? Usually, as your channel says.
That's what it says. And at the time I was, but now it's just hit and miss. I try to get 2 in a week. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's none. For growth, for years I would try to be real consistent, and I've been laxed on that. I've been kind of here and there. So yeah, I've been pretty poor at it, but yeah, I don't have a set day. It's just when they pop up.
Very good. James, nice show, guys. Thanks. Jeremy, very, very nice of you to hang out with us here.
Yeah.
Cousin Joey curious. So Twitch doesn't, so like YouTube, when you're done with the live, just saves the video. Twitch doesn't do that. Twitch doesn't save your video, and you have to like reach a certain point of like sort of you have enough clout before you can start even loading videos onto your page. So if you go my YouTube has a couple of the streams that we've done, but as a podcaster, I want to edit, right? So I'm not. There's a couple that are still up there, but I want to, like the Adam Chernoff episode, and there's a couple other ones where I have the video and I kind of want to edit them before they go up, because not everything in a long conversation is all that interesting when you go back.
Are you kidding? What are you cutting out of this? No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, just wait.
Let's condense it down to 10 minutes.
we're at I mean, there were times that Eric and I would record for 2 hours, and I'd shave it down to an hour 20. And it is, but you go on some tangents with someone, you get a story from someone, or you like maybe even get off topic, and it's sort of fun in the moment. But as someone sort of listening back, like I listen back, like this actually isn't all that interesting. Like
the whole thing,
just cut a whole like 10-minute block out of there. So, all right, I just got a couple more questions that I had written down here. So it sounds like you say you teach people that don't, you tell them, but do you ever play the don't yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
You do? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We went over that. Goodness, we really have made it through all my questions. So I guess we'll end with you were tuning into the stream we did last week with Mark Duvall talking about Hard 8 and the cooler. The crap scene in Hard 8 is probably my favorite crap scene in a TV or movie. Do you have a favorite crap scene seen on the silver screen or in a TV show?
Man, crap scene. I forget the name of the movie. What was it? Harlem Nights or something, where they were kind of like playing like a backroom game, and a kid came in. Man, I'm really bad with memorizing stuff, but they were kind of playing up against the wall, and it was a good little 10-minute segment on craps. It wasn't on the table, but it was like they were playing like street craps in the back room of a club. I can't remember what movie it was, but yeah, it was always kind of, it obviously made a huge impression on me. I can't even remember the movie or the complete scene, but yeah, I just remember it being a real fun one because it was unique.
Okay. Top Hat Gaming, who's Jeremy's favorite moderator club member?
That's him. He's my moderator, so he's hopping in there.
Got it.
Top Hat's my favorite.
So this is an inside joke that I don't get. Yeah. Subscribe for further shows. Very good. Thanks, Top Hat.
He helps run my club, so he's my right-hand man there.
Okay. Mark coming in with the Bronx Tale. I am yet to watch that, but it's been Mark, one of many people have told me I need to see
Bronx
that.
Tale. Thank you.
Yeah. That was what you were describing.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
that makes sense. So if people who are watching this for the first time, when I have a guest on, I ask them if they're cool with the stream, and if they are, this is what I do. You get to see, and as I mentioned, I do quite a bit of editing, so all the conversation that ends up in the podcast feed is not necessarily all the conversation had in the stream. So if you want to hear some of the tangents and some of the funny jokes, some of the things that I accidentally say that I don't want to be in my podcast, this is where to do it. I do plan on actually producing videos for the channel. This isn't going to just be a place for streaming interviews. I would like to start a series on scenes seen in TV shows and movies, sort of like with the podcast, the episode that I do monthly with Mark Duvall. I love seeing gambling in these shows. Like even like I brought it up, the show The Guild has an online poker reference, and I just thought that was funny, right? So I want to be able to do short little videos highlighting this. We'll see how much I can get away with YouTube's copyright, but copyright policies, obviously. But I'm going to see if I can do those, because those will be fun. And then I have thought about, the talking about different games and stuff. But as you mentioned, talking about when you were getting into the space, people try to put like, oh, the people someone's already doing that. Yeah, I mean, someone's already. There's hundreds of channels for any given topic, right?
That just means people are interested if it could support hundreds of channels,
And the way that I would talk about craps is different than the way you would talk about craps, right? Etc. So, love the stream format. Something in which podcasters would do more. I'm glad I got into it. I'm glad that I made this decision. It was a lot of fun. Okay, Jeremy, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. This was a ton of fun. I hope that everybody watching enjoyed it. I hope everybody that's listening on the podcast form enjoyed it. It was an episode full of craps. Even got a cameo from Mark Duvall.
Superstar, yeah.
Yeah. So youtube.com/color up is where people can find your channel. Where else do you want to send people? Where else can people find you?
Facebook and Instagram at Color Up Club on those locations, but I'm not a big social media user. I mean, I post some a little bit there, here and there, but I don't pay them much attention. So honestly, the YouTube.
Okay.
And just give me a comment there. Or
Very
my
good.
Discord, I should say. So you can get that at my website, colorup.club, and there's a link to we call it the dice cord there. So yeah, we got a couple.
The dice cord.
Yeah, we got
I like that.
400 members there, so it's a lot of fun, pretty active.
And you guys just talk craps.
Yeah, for my members, they're behind a paywall, and we do a lot of fantasy craps, playing together on tables and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot of conversation, even access to everybody. So yeah.
Okay. Collaboration with Jeremy and the Bettor Life with live rolls. If I'm ever in the Colorado area,
I'm actually moving to Reno, so I don't know if Reno's a better spot for you to hit up, but
I mean, I'm in Virginia, so nothing over there is easy for me.
Vegas. Yeah.
Yes, but very good. Thank you everybody for watching the stream. Thank you for everybody who's listening to the podcast. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to one day throwing dice with you in person.
All right, sounds good.